Hello everybody and welcome back to Blanche Case Fitness. It's Saturday and you know what that means. It's time for the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. And still no snow, but it's raining, I guess. I don't know. The weather reports are still incredibly confident that at some point this weekend we are going to get historic levels of snow. So I mean, it is precipitating, and it is definitely close to cold enough for that precipitation to turn into snow. So we'll see what happens. But I feel like I keep getting that like disappointed kid on Christmas feeling, where I keep going to bed and being like, yeah, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and everything's gonna be covered in snow, and then I wake up and it's like, nope, never mind, I guess. Which is just a bummer. So, but at least we're getting some precipitation. See previous rants about I live in a drought-prone state, and any time that it rains or snows is a good thing. Hi, everybody! You made it to the weekend. Woo! It is the 13th of March, and let me tell you, my Facebook memories this morning were just really sad. Just really sort of brokenhearted about a lot of things. And like, it's interesting because at the time, so much sort of fell apart on this day last year. And I remember that feeling and that sadness and just like, oh my God, this thing that I thought I had constructed just collapsed around me. And yet I still thought that this was just going to be a couple of weeks, as did most of us. Like, we still were talking in terms of like, oh, the rock gym's going to be closed till the end of the month. And then, 4 months later, it finally reopened at whatever tiny amount of capacity and no fitness classes. But yeah, it is fascinating to look back on those posts and sort of simultaneously see the pain and the heartbreak and be like, I am so sorry, because that day sucked and I remember it really well and it frickin' sucked. And also to go, wow, I had no idea what was actually in store. Because none of us did. Well, I mean, I'm sure that there were people who had far more of an understanding of what was coming down the pipeline, but like, I could not have imagined on this day last year that we would make it a full year and still be quarantining and still be unable to interact with each other and still be, wrestling with people around us who don't want to take this seriously. And it's fascinating. It was a fascinating time capsule, which is sort of, I think, the way of Facebook memories. Facebook memories is one of those features that like, I am glad it's there, but every once in a while I'll check it and I'll be like, hey, did you want a gut punch today? And, I am grateful that most of the things that could gut punch me in my memories are not like losing family members or friends or things like that. But yeah, it's fascinating. So yeah, I was just looking at, a lot of panicked posts that I made about the theater industry, because this was the day last year that it was like, oh, all of the theaters around me have shut down for a little bit, and the auditions that I had scheduled were just canceled, and yeah, weird day. It feels appropriate that it is raining right now, and gray outside. Like, that feels like an appropriate commemoration of this day last year, which last year I remember this day being relatively sunny as everything collapsed around us. And I remember being in the cafe a local cafe with two of my best friends. And, you know, we were doing that thing that we were all doing at the beginning of the pandemic where we were like indoors and, you know, sitting at the same tables together, but we weren't touching each other because that obviously made it better. And oh wow. What a different place. What a different place literally everything in my life is from this day last year, which is so strange to think about. You know, honestly, from a purely personal perspective, I'm in a much better place than I was this time last year, even though I wouldn't have assumed that that would have been true. I'm far healthier. I've got this stream. I have extricated myself from some hit point reducing experiences, and I am feeling so much better and more confident than I was this time last year, which is good. But it's just strange because it's not an unequivocal win, you know? It's like, well, I feel like I could have achieved this place without a global pandemic. But we'll never know now. Hey, but that's okay. We have taken a really shitty year and we've done what we can with it. And, you know, that's the best we can do most of the time. And if you're here, then you've been taking care of yourself. You've been working hard to take care of yourself. And that is super awesome and super important. And I am proud of you. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of all of us. So it's a little chilly in my studio today. That is how I can tell that it's cold outside. So I think it's probably about time to start working out. Yay! Strength and stamina, baby. All right, let's do our pre-class checklist, my friends. So make sure that you have your water in whatever vessel you were using. There we go. You got your comfy clothes on, whatever that means to you. For me, I wear, you know, spandexy exercise gear. Generally of the level that you can get at Target. I'm not frequently going out and getting like super high-end stuff. But if you want to throw on a cotton t-shirt and a pair of shorts for this class, that is a-okay. It literally is whatever clothing you can put on your body to feel comfortable and able to move. Those are the only criteria. So don't ever let anyone try and convince you that you have to be using spandexy stuff and moisture wicking and all this, you know, anti-odor bullshit, as if you're not supposed to get a little smelly when you work out, which just drives me nuts. But anyway, you've got your comfy clothes on, you've got your water, you've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor, and if you use a fitness wearable, let's get those going for high-intensity interval training. Woo, woo, woo. All right. You know, it never fails that we start class, I walk into the streaming office and, you know, it's too late to go anywhere else in my house. And that's the moment when I realize how dirty my glasses are. Like, it seriously never fails. All right, my dears, let's get started. On our mats, on our backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And as soon as you hear that timer go off, we will begin with hip rocks and bridges. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Hey there, core. We had a good functional home fitness last night. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoy the exercises that really make me feel like I'm challenging myself nicely. And that's been absolutely delightful to do. That's sort of been my theme this month, I feel. I know I've been talking a lot about, you know, the ways in which we can safely challenge ourselves for our workouts. And it's been really nice for me to put more focus on that for myself, because I definitely have been feeling pretty plateaued for my personal fitness for a while, and it's really nice to be like, ooh, all right, I feel like things are happening. I feel like when I wasn't looking, I strengthened myself in a way that I didn't realize I'd been doing, and that is super cool. I've also been thinking about ways that we can all, get like tiny little bursts of movement throughout the day. We don't need or want a full-on hour-long HIIT class every single day. Like, that's not going to be healthy for us. But, if you work an office job, if you work at a desk, then you know how easy it can be to sort of get stuck in your office chair all day. And then suddenly it's 5:30 in the afternoon and you're like, I haven't really moved at all. And I was talking the other day about something that I encountered at a previous job, where one of our internal Slack-like channels was the push-ups channel. And you joined it if you were interested, and every time that somebody tagged the channel, all of us who were in the channel would get up from our desks and do a set of push-ups. And, however many you wanted to do. So it wasn't like we were all getting up from our desks and gathering together and being like, all right, 1, 2. But it was just a really awesome way to sort of get that external accountability in a more communal way. I still remember, it was probably my first day at this job. I did not yet know that this channel existed. And I was just, going about my business and at my desk, and suddenly I just noticed dozens of people around me just get up from their desks and get down onto the floor and start doing push-ups. And I was like, why are people erupting into push-ups around me? So I've been thinking about, ways that I can integrate that into, how we communicate with each other on social media. And I do plan to fire up a Discord server for this channel once the Patreon goes live. But that's not going to be coming down the pipeline for at least a couple of weeks. So something I've been thinking about, and I've been sort of inspired by another friend of mine who's also a personal trainer and fitness instructor. She's been doing just 20-minute HIIT classes on Instagram TV or whatever they call it. And I love using Instagram stories. I think that's such a cool feature. And so something that I'm thinking about doing is just throughout the day, probably not on weekends. I think this will be weekday content. Just when I get to a point where I'm like, all right, I want to do a set of push-ups, or I want to do a set of toe squats or mountain climbers or something like that. Using Instagram stories and having that be sort of the channel tag. So if you follow me there and you're checking Instagram idly at some point during the day and you see one of those stories, you can go, oh, all right, cool, and join me for, some push-ups or some bicycles or something like that. So that's something I'm thinking of doing, because I just loved that sort of tag-based, okay, now we're all just, whenever we see this, we're all just getting up and doing a set of push-ups. And I would love to find some good ways to continue that. So yeah, just things I've been thinking about to help us to, build movement and build exercise into our lives, into the fabric of our lives as much as we can. We don't have to just save movement for these classes. We can have dance breaks in the middle of the day. We can go on walks. We can go on hikes. We can get up from our desks and do a set of push-ups when we're feeling particularly sort of glued in our chairs. And it's an interesting thing about the construction of the modern world, where there is a much larger percentage of the population that leads a far more sedentary life, and we sit when we're traveling from one place to the other, in our cars, not like, obviously, like riding horses is an athletic activity, but like sitting in our cars certainly isn't. And when we're doing our work, we're just sitting at our desks and tapping on our keyboards. So just thinking about ways that we can remind ourselves sort of organically through the day, hey, you've been sitting down for a while, like, you don't have to go put on exercise clothes and do a full workout, but just do 10 push-ups, just do 10 ankle reaches, 10's a great number. For just a quick set, you just want to sort of bang out. That is generally the number I default to. And also, it can give you the opportunity to test out how you feel on sort of ramped up difficulty on different things. So, for example, when I test out push-ups, I'm gonna be like, okay, let's see if I can do push-ups from a full plank instead of from the knees, which is usually what I do in class. So you have opportunities like that to just go, well, this is just 10 reps, so let's see what I am able to accomplish, and maybe I will, start the process of discovering that I have more strength or more power, more stamina than I thought I did, and then I can carry that knowledge into class with me, and that in turn feeds, all right, I'm ready to challenge myself a little bit more on what we're doing, and it becomes this really nice sort of cycle. So yeah, things that I'm thinking about, I think could be really cool, honestly. So keep an eye out. If you don't follow me on Instagram, definitely head over there. I still have yet to get into a good posting groove over there, so there definitely has been a lot of I post every day for a week and then nothing for a month kind of experiences over there. So it may be a little feast or famine initially, but I do want to get into a more regular cadence with that. And I feel like having something like doing a channel tag and being like, all right, everybody's seeing this story. I want you to stop what you're doing and just do, 10 toe squats, would be a really good way for me to get that sort of more regular content over there. And also, just a really good way to help all of us, myself included, remember to get those little pops of movement into our day, Again, we don't have to suit up for an entire hour-long workout. And we don't want to be doing a workout of this intensity every single day, but getting some sort of movement in is a good idea. And one of the things that I know becomes a barrier for a lot of people is feeling like they don't have the time to do a workout. And some of that ties into societal barriers that we place and the ways in which we value time that is specifically tied to employers and don't necessarily value time that is tied to our own health and wellness. But maybe you don't have time to to do a class today, or to get out of the house for a walk or a run. But I guarantee you, no matter what you're doing, you have time to give 30 seconds to doing a set of 10 push-ups. And you can just start there. Again, we are not trying to hit the summit of the mountain the second that we've stepped out of the gate. I'm mixing metaphors here, but you get what I mean. Like, we talk about that a lot, about the ways in which we frequently have this expectation for ourselves, and it's a completely unrealistic one, that we should be able to start something and almost immediately get to the place where we're at the top. We've arrived. We've succeeded. That is just, we need to shift our thinking away from that mode for something like exercise that we're trying to build in as a consistent part of our lives. We don't have to hit, the target right out of the gate. We don't even have to set due dates for the targets, and it's the New Year's resolution problem, right? Where we set this expectation that we're going to be able to cold turkey start something just because a year on the calendar is flipped over, and we jump into like maximum mode right off the bat, and maybe we can maintain it for a couple of weeks, and then we start to get tired, or something comes up that causes us to miss a day, and that then starts to snowball into us feeling like, oh, well, I missed a day, and then I miss another one, and then before you know it, you're spending the remaining 11 months of the year going, well, there went that idea. And that's not what we want. We want to be able to build a sustainable practice. And to do that, we do not and should not try to jump to the end of the line. Like, if you have a goal that you want to work out 5 days a week. Cool. Good goal. Don't start there. Okay? Start with just 1 day a week and show up for it consistently. And, you know, don't worry about those other 4 days. Just make sure that you're showing up consistently for that 1 day. And then, once that habit is built in, then ramp that up, add a second day, maybe even a third day, depending on how confident you feel. And we can slowly and sustainably make our way towards these goals in a way that is going to help us actually be able to maintain it, you know? And to be able to reinitiate, even if we take a few days off from it, or we go on vacation and we don't carry that habit with us, you know, because that's the other problem with the cold turkey approach, is that, you know, we started it so suddenly. And so when you have when you aren't able to achieve it on a given day, it feels like, okay, well, I might as well give up, you know, because I either need to be able to do all 5 days right off the bat, or what's the point? It's like, well, that's a self-defeating approach towards all of this, all right? Okay, let's start with some toe squats. We haven't started with a good toe squat sequence in a little bit. So we're gonna do our 10 minutes, and remembering from a form perspective, feet about hip width apart, keeping our backs as straight up and down as possible as we go down, and then come back up. You can take rests, as many as you want to, but you have to make sure you're doing the same number of reps between each rest, okay? So if you start out with 20 reps and then take a rest, cool, you're doing 20 each time. If you start out with 50, cool, then you're doing 50 each time. All right, everybody on your mats, get ready, and let's go. All right. So speaking of challenges, this is a great opportunity to check in and be like, okay, if I've been taking advantage of those rests, how many reps have I been consistently doing in previous toe squat intervals? And can I add on? Am I able to go, okay, I've been doing 25 reps pretty consistently. Today, I'm gonna try for 30 reps, or I'm gonna try for 35, okay? And again, we do not have to jump the number up precipitously each time, okay? You can, absolutely. And I do honestly recommend every once in a while just being like, okay, I'm gonna do a big challenge for myself today, and I'm gonna see how it goes out. So, you know, maybe you've been doing 25 reps and today you get on the mat and you're like, okay, I am going to do 50 reps. I'm going to double the number of reps that I do before for this set. That's awesome. Try it. Absolutely. Be prepared to make the determination that, oh, I'm not there yet, okay? Be prepared to try it and to go, ooh, okay, this is
a little bit too much for me. And be prepared for that to be totally fine, okay? Because it is. Because it absolutely is. And that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes you go, okay, I'm going to do this big ramp up. I'm going to do this big challenge today. And it works out. And you're like, oh, wow. I guess I was able to do that. And that's super cool. So, sometimes we surprise ourselves, and sometimes we go, all right, I made the effort, and that was awesome, but now I need to maybe ramp back the number of reps that I'm adding on, you know. Maybe 50 ends up being too much, but maybe 35 ends up being perfect, you know? So don't be afraid to challenge yourself, and don't be afraid for it to not be achievable right off the bat, okay? And if that happens, I don't want you over there going, oh, well, you know, there's no point to this then, because I tried that big challenge and it didn't work, so I'm just going to stick with my 20 reps or 25 reps. And that's not the lesson either, okay? Sustainable growth is the lesson. We are not imposing late-stage capitalism on our bodies, all right? We're just not gonna do it. But we can still allow ourselves some additional growth, okay? And so if you make that try and you're like, all right, that was a few too many, but I still want to do some greater number of reps, well, frankly, that greater number could literally be a single extra rep. You could literally, hey, we're halfway through. You could literally say, all right, I've been doing 25 reps. I'm going to do 26 reps this time around. And that's fine. That's awesome. All right? And it adds up. Because if you're doing, let's just say, I'm pulling numbers out of thin air right now, but if you are able to do 5 sets over the course of the 10 minutes, then you are doing an extra 5 reps. And that is super cool. And that does add up. And then maybe the next time you add another rep after that, you know? So now you're doing 27 reps each time, okay? So don't disdain small steps, because they are awesome and they are super, super useful in getting ourselves to our goals, okay? And there's so much messaging that's out there that expects us to be able to just, again, jump to the summit of the mountain right after we begin. And anyone who's gone hiking knows that that is completely unrealistic. And, you know, the path is twisty and contains obstacles that you may not have foreseen. And sometimes you're making your way up towards the summit, and then the path leads you back down for a little bit. And you're like, well, crap. I seem to be further away from my goal. But if you follow the metaphor, you're still moving towards the goal. You're just taking a less direct route. And the direct route is not the perfect way to move through the world. It is not the way that we absolutely must navigate, okay? Sometimes we will derive more value from those little jaunts through the valley. Sometimes we will pick up a skill or a piece of equipment that we didn't have before, and that will allow us to make our way more easily along the trail. Sometimes we'll notice a different trail and we'll realize that the one we're on isn't particularly enjoyable, and that we want to check out this other one, you know? So, yeah, we are not here to immediately get to the top of the mountain. And even when we do get there and hit that goal, there are always other mountains to climb and explore. And you don't have to do it right away. You know, you can take a little time enjoying the overall achievement and just sort of maintaining that level of endurance, and that's awesome. And when you're ready, you will find that you've made your way to the base of the next mountain. This got very mountain focused, which makes sense because the Rocky Mountains are just directly to my right. Holy crap. Basically, I was just talking to myself that whole time because I was challenging myself to keep moving for the entire 10 minutes, which I have not done in a while. And I did it! Holy crap! You know, pat myself on the back. And you know what? If you achieved a goal or a portion of a goal today, I want you to pat yourself on the back. And if what you did today was maintain your previous performance, I want you to pat yourself on the back. And if you're sitting here going, I'm just lucky that I'm awake and on my mat and moving, I want you to pat yourself on the back. We are all doing a great job. Oh, make sure to replenish that water. Oh yeah. Now, we've been doing these a lot. I'm absolutely on a pyramid kick because I love them. So we're gonna do a pyramid. So 3 exercises. First through each of them for 21 reps, then through each of them for 15 reps, then through each of them for 10 reps. And we will have a total of 8 minutes to complete all of those sets. Holy crap. My quads are feeling some things. Wow. Wow, okay. We're gonna get down on the floor for a second. So exercise 1 is going to be ankle reaches. So for odd numbers of sets, of reps, just add one additional one. So we have our legs going straight up in the air. We engage our core to lift our chest and shoulders off the ground. One hand to the outside of the opposite ankle. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. All right. I think I might make this a quad or a core focused pyramid. So next one we're going to do are the pulsed flying superhero. So lying flat on your stomach, arms and legs extended, lift arms, legs, chest off the floor, and lower, lift, and lower. So that's exercise 2. Whew, golly. And 3 is going to be mountain climbers. So we're going to take that front plank position, shoulders directly over wrists. And for these, and 1, and 2, and 3, okay? So, here we are. We've got ankle reaches, we've got front superheroes, and we've got mountain climbers. 8 minutes to do 21 reps, then 15, then 10. Take as many breaks as you need to at any point, but you want to have all of them done by the end of that timer. All right, everybody ready? And 8 minutes has begun. Okay, so yeah, with the ankle reaches, this is the only one where I want you to make sure that you add that additional rep. So instead of 21, you're doing 22, just to make sure that you're evening yourself out, okay? And yeah, you may end up being like, wow, I'm able to get through all of these a lot faster than I thought I was. And that is super nice because then you can just take some good breaks and enjoy them. And we do want to enjoy our exercise, okay? Whew. We want to enjoy what we're doing. We want to enjoy the strength and the power, okay? We don't, like, here's the thing. It's the difference between acknowledging that, woo, something's going to be hard and it's going to feel really challenging versus you are going to hate every minute of this, okay? And you know, if you've been with the channel long enough, that I believe that we should always be looking for activities that we enjoy and can stick with. So that means that if you have tried running, as an example, and just as an activity that I've never been able to maintain with any degree of regularity. If you've been trying to get into running and you're just like, I know I should do this, but it just feels so miserable every time, then stop trying to force yourself to do it, okay? Find a different exercise, find a different activity, test that out, see how it feels, and it may end up being perfect for you and for what you want out of fitness and for where you are in your body right now. And you may then find that when you go back and try running again at some later time, that you suddenly are able to do it a lot more easily. And you're like, oh, wow, this feels so much better. Now this feels like a thing I can do. Or you may go back and try it and go, yeah, I still don't enjoy this particular activity. And either of those is fine, okay? I always recommend that people try things again, even if they didn't like them initially, but I also don't want you to ever feel like you have to force yourself into doing an activity that you just don't enjoy, okay? That's never our goal. That is never our goal. If that is something that you're feeling, then I want you to take a step back and I want you to remember that you should enjoy what you're doing. And maybe where you derive the enjoyment is in the results, the strength and the power that you feel in your body, not in the actual activity. And that's totally fine. But, we also, I think, are trained from early PE classes to think that exercise is supposed to be this miserable activity, and that's just part and parcel with fitness, which breaks my heart because it shouldn't be that way. It absolutely should not be that way. And I think that people force themselves into activities that they really don't enjoy because they think that they're supposed to be miserable. And the other thing that ends up doing is it makes it harder for us to recognize when the signals that our bodies are sending us, because we are already in this frame of mind where we're like, well, I'm going to ignore these discomfort, these pain signals, because this is supposed to be uncomfortable anyway. You know what I mean? So, yes, your daily or weekly reminder that we should have fun while we're exercising. We should enjoy the activities that we're doing. And if you are really miserable doing something, no type of fitness activity is worth that, okay? There are so many ways for us to strengthen ourselves. There are so many ways for us to integrate fitness and activity and exercise into our lives. And so we should be trying to find those activities that inspire us and make us excited to get on the mat and to do whatever we're doing. Woo! All right. Yeah, my quads are on fire too, don't worry. I literally, the reason that all of these pyramid exercises are on the floor is because I was not going to be able to do anything with my legs in that particular sequence. All right, we have less than a minute left. So hopefully you are on the home stretch. If not, if we get to the end of the 8 minutes and you still have some reps to do, that's fine. Keep doing them. I'll turn on the 2-minute rest timer. Just know that you may get a little bit less rest, okay? So, and that's totally fine. Oh, yeah, let me tell you, it has been a while since I did a full 10 minutes of toe squats. I had forgotten how intense that is. All right, if you are done, make sure you're drinking plenty of water. You can stretch out if you want to. And we've been doing a lot of stuff that could definitely, all right, 8 minutes is done. 2-minute rest timer is on. Congratulations. Yay, pyramid. That was a good one. That was a good one to get done in the time. I think the next thing that we are going to do
is a perpetual motion set. And we're gonna do 3 exercises, 3 times through, 1-minute intervals. So this will be an intense one, absolutely. All right, so what do we want to do? I think that I want us to do, I want to get my timer together. That's the first thing I want to do. Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking of doing slow leg lowers. That might end up being really intense on the quads, but you know what? We're gonna do it. We're raw. Okay, so first exercise, slow leg lowers. We start lying on the ground, legs straight up towards the ceiling, and we introduce a tilt into our pelvis such that our lower back is glued to the floor. So if I take my fingertips and I try to get them under my lower back, I cannot. And then we slowly lower the legs, stopping every 15 degrees or so. Hold for 2 seconds, lower and hold, lower and hold. All the time, keeping that lower back glued to the floor. So if I check in, it's still there. And if I get all the way there, I can start reversing, and that's awesome. Or if your lower back comes off the floor at any point, just reset and start again. So that's exercise number 1, is our slow leg lower. Exercise number 2 is going to be, oh man, we're gonna do Chaturang to downward dog. So starting from that front plank, come down, almost as if we're doing a push-up. Leave the hips by the floor, extend the arms, look up at the ceiling, and push back to that downward dog. So my usual caveat that I am not a yoga instructor, so this is just sort of my version of that, and that's fine. And then third exercise, we are going to get up, we are going to do something sort of cardio. We're just going to do our skips right in place, okay? All right, so slow leg lower, and then Chaturanga to downward dog, and then skips. Perpetual motion timer, no rest intervals. So every time you hear that horn, you move to the next exercise. So everybody on your mats, you're on your backs, getting prepped, legs pointing up, tilt in the pelvis, and now we go. So I really love the slow leg lower as a core exercise because it does 2 things. It demonstrates our current level of core strength. So it's a really good assessment tool. And it's also a really awesome exercise to then strengthen our core. And it's really nice in particular because there's really no way to compensate with other muscle groups and still be confident that you're performing the exercise correctly. So you really don't get any sort of leeway in there to, I'm gonna pull myself forward using my arms. Well, I can't do that. I'm lying on my back. I'm gonna pull myself forward using my head or neck then. Nope, they're staying on the floor. So you really have to just focus on the core, and the core drives that movement, and you feel pretty easily when you are not performing the exercise correctly. And then you get to just reset and restart, all right? Because we don't want to keep forcing ourselves through if we are
not doing the exercise correctly. All right. Woo! So our skips are a nice little sort of pop of more intense cardio, but not so intense that it's going to be impossible to maintain. So I like using them for these types of perpetual motion sets because you really can make it happen and not worry about totally losing your ability to do the exercise. So, tiny little hops. And yes, I am hopping. My foot is leaving the ground. Not super far, that's fine, but it is leaving the ground. So, woo! All right, second set. Second verse, same as the first. Make sure to check that form. I will keep my fingertips right by my lower back the whole time, and I'll just test right there. And you know, sometimes you go, oh man, I can feel lower back coming off. So I'm going to reset and start again. And that's fine. Check in on how that core feels. You should be feeling that strength and that intensity, especially in the lower abdominals. They are really hanging on and driving the leg movement in particular. Woo! All right. We are cheering for ourselves because it's so important for us to take pride in what we're doing. And wow, we are working hard, my friends. We are absolutely working hard on this gray, rainy, possibly eventually snowy Saturday morning. So, I want you to really focus in on that strength and that stamina and just being super, super proud of yourself and your ability to keep moving. This is intense, and you're still moving, and that's awesome. You know, and that's our focus today. We're not doing a super intensive cardio class, so our sort of ground level focus for strength and stamina is continuing to move the whole time, right? And once we have that down, then we start to introduce new challenges for ourselves. But that is a totally good starting place for everything that we're doing. Man, woo! You can tell that I have upped the ante on my own participation in class because I am cheering a lot more vigorously. Not because I wasn't cheering y'all on before, because I think I was doing a good job on that, but because now I need to be over here cheering myself on and reminding myself of how awesome it is that I'm up here teaching this class on a Saturday morning and doing all of this intensive exercise. So, as we switch to our last round of Chaturanga, I want you to give yourself a nice big cheer. Woo! And you know what? Maybe your neighbors are going, what the heck is happening over there? And that is fine. That is totally fine. Because what's happening is that you are being a badass. You are taking an hour on a Saturday morning and you are working out and going strong and just challenging yourself and keeping yourself healthy. And wow, is it amazing. I know that for myself, I'm going to get out of today's class and I'm just going to be floored. I am so proud, you know, and you should be too. You should always get out of class and be so impressed with yourself and with the effort that you have put in. And you know what? Doing the entirety of class helps me to remind myself of how awesome y'all are. Because I haven't been doing every single set like this in a while. You have. You are amazing. Okay? And I hope you remember that. Woo! All right. Get some water. Oh yeah. Some good water. Okay. We are going to do one more thing, my friends. One more thing. And then we are going to do a solid stretch sequence. Because I need it. And I bet you do too. We are going to do final, I know, 10 minutes of toe squats. Don't you feel strong and powerful? Yeah. Either that or you're just going to glare at me the next time you see me. I'll accept either answer. So, we're going to do a final tabata. No, we're not ending class with 10 minutes of toe squats. We did that at the beginning. I'm not that masochistic. I can still barely move my own quads. I'm not going to put you through that. No, we're doing a final tabata. 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. Our nice standard cardio. We are going to do one exercise, so we'll just go through 8 times, and I'm going to let you choose. And you can choose to do burpees, you can choose to do kick throughs, or you can choose to do flying chickens, okay? So those are your options. Flying chickens, the only exercise that we haven't done yet today, but if you've been with me long enough, you know how it is. Feet start together on the mat. Thumbs at chest height. If you wear a bra, you can hook your thumbs behind your bra straps. And then we just jump the feet apart in the air and land them back in the same place they started. And we just flap the elbows up and down. So up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Just like that. Wow. Even that little bit of quad made my leg go, hey, you're feeling some stuff. All right. So, 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. First sound does not mean go. First sound is our stop sound. 4 minutes of glory, my friends. All right, knock, knock, knock means get ready. Choose your for the rest of the time. So whatever you just started doing is the exercise you are doing for the rest of this tabata. You know, sometimes we try to challenge ourselves with that, and we go, yeah, that feels good. Sometimes we try to challenge ourselves with that and go, I immediately regret my decision. We've all been there. We've absolutely all been there. So don't worry if you're having that experience. This is how we grow. This is how we learn. Sometimes we bite off more than we can chew. That doesn't mean that we just stop doing everything, but that does mean that maybe we need to take some steps back and reassess how to safely and securely get to the goal we're trying to achieve. Oh man, what an amazing class. I'm feeling a lot of energy, and you know, some of it might be hysteria, because let's be real, I haven't done this much of a class in a long time. So my brain may be losing it a little bit, and that's okay, because I can do this, and you can too. Woo! Oh man, I am glad I picked flying chickens though. All right, we are halfway through our final tabata. We've got just 4 sets to go, including this one. So now is the time that we get our cheerleaders out, and we put them on the floor, next to your mat, next to your TV, your laptop, whatever you're watching this stream on. They're throwing their pom-poms all over the place, tumbling, doing cartwheels and somersaults, because they are so proud of you, and so am I, because you woke up this morning and you went, all right, it's a Saturday, I could stay in bed and just chill, but I think that I would like to start out the day with a bit of a challenge, a bit of intensity, and just demonstrating to myself what I am capable of achieving. And you put on your comfy clothes, and you got your water, and you set up your mat, and you have absolutely shown that today. And no matter what else you have going on this weekend or in your life in general, no matter what challenges you are facing right now, I want you to know that I believe that you have the strength and the stamina to succeed at whatever you are trying. Woo! Holy crap. My friends, what a great class. Wow. Okay, let's stretch. Let's start with some calf stretches, because yeah, we've used those pretty intensely today. So find a wall, and we're gonna take a lunge position. We want that back heel to drive all the way down to the floor so that we get that nice stretch. So you can add some force against the wall to get a little deeper into the stretch. And remember to move into the stretch slowly and securely, We are not trying to tell our brains to start contracting the muscles, okay? All right, back to standing and other side. As we are not symmetrical creatures, you may find on the second side that you can go back farther, or that you're not able to go back as far, and either one of those is fine. All right, we're just really working that stretch. All right, back to standing. We're actually gonna do both sides again. So first side, there we go. See if you can take your foot a little farther behind you and drive that heel a little more deeply into the floor. Make sure you're breathing, always taking those nice deep breaths, all right? Getting that oxygen into the system, slowing down, all right, switch sides, slowing down our heart rate, slowing down our breathing rate, because we no longer need that intense engagement by the cardiovascular system. So we want to be able to bring it back down to normal levels pretty quickly. All right, that's one of the big things that Tabatas train us in, is just, okay, when I have these rest points, how far back towards my normal baseline can I bring my breathing and my heart rate before I ramp back up? All right, coming down to the mat, it's quad stretch time. So same favorite stretch. The working leg is folded, heel to the side of the hip, and then pulled in so it's as close to the hip as possible. Our other leg, I'm just letting the knee fall open, just chilling. We're not really doing anything with this leg, so you don't have to worry about it. And then, once we're in position, we are going to slowly lower ourselves backwards, only as far as we need to get that stretch in the quad. So, for some people that may be here, for some people they may be able to make it down here, and for some people you may be able to make it down to the floor. But listen to your body, okay? We do not need to tear or stretch something unhealthily just because we think we should be able to get farther into the stretch. Okay. Once you are in that position, let yourself settle into it. We can frequently, after we've sort of gotten to that position, we can frequently release a little bit more and sink a little more deeply in. So we're going to take 4 deep breaths that are going to help facilitate that. Each time you inhale, visualize the oxygen going to wherever you're feeling the most intensity of sensation. Each time you exhale, try and settle a little more deeply into the stretch. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. All right. Slowly and gently back up to seated. Now don't move this leg under its own power. Take one hand to the knee, one hand to the ankle, and manually unfold. All right. Then bring the other leg to meet it. Shake those knees out. Then flex the feet and point and flex and point and circle the ankles in one direction and then the other direction. All right, and now for side 2. Same notes. Remember, as we're getting down into the stretch, we are not symmetrical creatures, so it may be that you can't go down as far on this side, or that you can get down a little farther, or maybe you are pretty even on this particular stretch. But never assume that your second side is going to be as flexible as your first, okay? And this is one of the components that we work on learning about our bodies, is figuring out, you know, which limbs are stronger or weaker for different exercises, where we have more or less flexibility, where we have more or less balance, etc., etc. The more we learn, the better able we are to move safely and to mitigate our risk of injury, okay? All right, you're in position, and now it's time for those 4 deep breaths again. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. All right. Slowly, delicately, up to seated. One hand to the knee, one hand to the ankle. Manually unfold that leg. Bring the other leg to meet it. Shake those knees out. Flex the feet. And point. And flex. And point. Circle the ankles, first in one direction. And then the other direction. Yeah, all right. Now we're going to take the soles of our feet together and we're going to do our nice fold over butterfly stretch. Our knees are just falling open like this, okay? I want you to take a second and just, I want to give you an object lesson in the ways in which we are not symmetrical. So you see how one knee, this knee right here, is much farther off the ground than this knee. And it's because my left hip is far more flexible than my right hip. And so if I just set myself in this position without doing anything else, my right leg is not going to be able to open up as far. It needs additional assistance. It can get to this position, but it can't get there just by virtue of, hey, here we are, okay? So this is just one example of the ways in which we are not automatically symmetrical. And if that is important to you, then obviously there are ways to try and even strength or flexibility out in different ways. In my experience with, say, this, sometimes we're just going to be permanently offset. And, you know, that's okay. Bodies are weird, man. My body is strong and it can move and do lots of cool things, and that is more important to me than having my knee get automatically down to the same place on both sides. All right, enough of the object lesson. We are going to slowly walk our hands forward and fold over our feet. Once we can't keep walking our hands forward, we'll just let our head and upper back fold over. So we're getting that nice deep stretch in the hips. Speaking of the hips, and just shake your head out a little bit so that you can tell you're not clenching your neck. And let's take 4 deep breaths. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And back up. And I think we are good. Oh man, what a class, my friends. Holy crap, that was so awesome. I do love this class. It is such a good way to start out a Saturday, and
You know, again, we all have our own pace that we move on stuff like this, and I never want to get in the way of that. It is, however, also my job as a teacher to inspire and to remind you that frequently we hold ourselves back a little unnecessarily from what we can achieve, either because of prior experiences or because of fear or remembered weakness in certain areas that makes us go, oh, well, I can't do kick throughs all the way through a minute because I'm bad at kick throughs, even though you're probably not anymore. You just haven't made that flip in your head. So what I will say is that it is an incredible feeling to challenge ourselves and to feel the progress we've made, okay? A year ago, teaching this class, there is no way in hell that I would have been able to do the entire class with you. Not a chance. So to be able to look back over a year of work and effort and to go, holy crap, look at what I have achieved. And I wasn't even really paying attention to it most of the time. And that's the other beautiful thing, is how much improvement we make without being fully aware of it. And sometimes that can be frustrating because, again, we hit these plateau points where we are making improvements. They're just, a lot of them are like on the cellular level or the chemical and hormone level. And that's not the stuff that we can see with our naked eye, and that's not the stuff that we can feel as we're doing an exercise, and so it can feel really frustrating. But it builds up. It builds up. And to be able to look back over the last year and go, wow, all of this work has built up, and now, I am at a place where I can teach an entire stream and do the entire class with you and not, feel like I want to die, for lack of a better term. So, yeah, I want you to listen to your body and your brain, because we are bad at engaging in those conversations with them. But they are conversations. And, on the other side of the coin of learning how to recognize, oh no, my body is really trying to protect me from injuring myself and I need to listen to it and I need to back off, we also need to recognize, those moments when our body or our brain are a little scared and are holding us back, and where we have to go, I understand that you're worried and I understand that you're trying to protect me, but I really think that we can push forward. We can challenge ourselves a little bit more. And it doesn't have to be a big challenge. Again, that's one of the really nice things about sustainable growth, as opposed to trying to jump right to the top of that mountain. By breaking things into smaller chunks makes it easier for our brain to go, oh, okay, well, that's not so bad. Adding 1 rep onto this isn't so bad. Like, that's totally doable. We can do that. And you just keep adding 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep, and suddenly you're doing 10 extra reps each time, and your brain is like, oh, well, I guess we can do that. And then that helps your brain to feel more comfortable with the idea of challenging yourself in the future. So all of it's a conversation. All of it's a give and take. And, if there's one thing that I think is truly, truly important about what we're doing here, it's learning how to have those conversations, because too many of us have been raised and trained to sort of cut ourselves off from the experience of existing in our bodies. Either because, we just come from familial or societal traditions that create this divide between body and brain, or because we have, issues with, eating disorders or just discomfort in our bodies that makes us not want to pay attention to them, or there's so many reasons why we cut ourselves off from experiencing our body and being proud of it and being like, you know what? This is incredible. And I recognize that I have a lot of privilege when I talk about this stuff. You know, I am a relatively lean, relatively thin human being. I fit a very particular mode of attractiveness. And, you know, so it can feel really easy for me to say that, and recognizing that in a society that, you know, has so many bullshit fat phobic connotations around people being at different weights. It can be a lot harder when you don't fit the expected mode to internalize that stuff. And it's so important. And I try to amplify as many non-looking like me voices as I can, because it is so important that you don't just hear this from me. You know, it's easy for me to say this. And I do believe it, but I also want to make sure that you're not just listening to me say this stuff, but you're also getting the opportunity to discover other fitness professionals who are, you know, heavier, who are not white, who are different flavors of LGBTQIA+, and to get their perspective and to hear their focus points, you know? So I am always going to try to amplify as many of those voices as I can, because I recognize that I fit a very dominant paradigm, and I do as much as I can to break that down and to make it clear to you that this is not the only mode of being healthy. This is not the only mode of being healthy, okay? I could be exactly this size and be incredibly unhealthy, but we wouldn't assume it, you know? And somebody who, you know, weighs 50 pounds more than me or 100 pounds more than me could be extremely healthy, healthier than I am, and we wouldn't assume it, you know? So, I want you, for your homework today, to make a list, not write it down unless that's how you process, in which case go for it, but like just think about what aspects of your body and your power within it that you are most proud of, okay? And start having that conversation with yourself and start identifying those things and internalizing them and going, oh yeah, I am really proud of how strong my legs are. Or, oh yeah, you know, I had that injury last year and I am really proud of how I've been able to build myself back from it, you know? And we need to recognize these things, and we need to remind ourselves of these things. We need to be cheerleaders for each other, and we also need to be cheerleaders for ourselves. And it's so much easier to cheerlead other people, which is really frustrating. So I will try to model the behavior of cheerleading myself as much as I can, because I recognize how hard it is, okay? All right, my dears. This is the end of our broadcast week. Holy crap. Fingers crossed that it actually does snow at some point in the next few days. But we will be back again on stream next week for the usual schedule. So Tuesday at 5:45 p.m. Mountain Time is Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving. Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. is Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. Friday at 6 p.m. is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And that brings us all the way back around to Saturday morning at 9 a.m. with the weekend kickoff. So please join me for any or all of those classes. You know, maybe you've been doing one class a week and maybe you're ready to see if you can add another one in. Who knows? You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. They go up on Sundays, so they should be up tomorrow by 11 a.m. So definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I do have a coffee account for one-time donations, Blanche Case Fitness, always very much appreciated. Or you can help keep growing this channel by following or subscribing, and tell your friends, tell your loved ones, telling your coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome class. I stream 4 days a week. We have an amazing community here. We have kept each other going through a really intense year, and I am so proud of everything that we've achieved, and I can't wait to see what we can do next. So make sure to finish that water, refill, hydration, hydration, hydration. Make sure to get some food. Got to start replenishing those fuel stores. Take an awesome shower. Hunker down if it's going to be snowing where you are. And I will see all of you back here again on Tuesday. Mwah. Have a great day.